So in that freedom, they started discussing about a comparison. And in the comparison, they were not able to arrive at a conclusion. Because human nature is very diverse. All people will not agree. We generally have a statement, if somebody beats the mother and people come to know, there will be two opinions. Some people will say it was right, she deserved it. Others will say whatever it may be, it is your mother, you should not beat. So opinions always will differ. There are people who believe in God, the super majority. One section will be there, we don't believe in God. By saying they don't believe in God, actually they are not disbelievers, because I don't believe in God. When he uses the word I, that I is denoting God, which those people do not know, that's all. So they deputed Bhrigu for the purpose. Bhrigu willingly and readily went. First of all, he went to Brahma. After all, he is born of Brahma. So he should go there with a lot of respect, prostrate before him and seek his blessings. But Bhrigu Maharshi's mission was to test who is great and who is honorable, most honorable. So he did not go and prostrate him or praise him. Brahma, as usual, became angry. But because Bhrigu happens to be his son, he somehow sublimated and controlled his anger. But he did feel that he has been disrespected, not properly respected by Bhrigu. Bhrigu got the answer. Though my father, when I went there to test him and did not show my respect, he was irritated. This irritation is not becoming of his status. So he coolly left the place. He went to Kailasa. When he went to Kailasa, Maheshwara, that is Paramashiva, suddenly got up and he wanted to embrace him. This also Bhrigu Maharshi felt very bad. So suppose I go and he allows him to be embraced, then he naturally has to say Paramashiva is superior. So he wanted to create a scene. What was the scene that he created? He refused to get embraced. And he also imputed some motives to Shiva. You are a very dirty person, carrying a skull, putting a snake on your neck. So I don't like you at all. No cleanliness, no hygiene, nothing at all. You have no regard for Vedic injunctions, you flout everything. You live in the cremation ground, etc. You are not a good man. If you embrace me, I will myself be unclean. He said, no. You know, Shiva was very much enraged. He was so angry that he was about to hit him. But somehow Parvati intercepted and saved the situation. Bhrigu Maharshi did not stay there. He simply proceeded to Vaikuntha. When he went to Vaikuntha, Mahavishnu was lying on the lap of Mahalakshmi. So without saying anything, when he went there, Mahavishnu is lying. That means so unmindful of the environment. After all, Mahavishnu was lying, so it was very comfortable for him. So with his right heel, he kicked him on his chest. Mahavishnu instantly got up. Something wrong has happened. And he prostrated before him and apologized for the neglect and inattention that he had incurred. And these are the statements he made. Punihis sahalokam mam lokapalamscha madgatan padodagena bhavataha tirthanam tirthakarina. He immediately got up, caught hold of his leg and started stroking. My heart, my chest is just like a granite block. And your foot is something like a lotus flower. You must have been immensely hurt, and started stroking, saying this, Punihi sahalokam mam lokapalamscha madgatan. My dear sage, I am very sorry. Please purify, make holy myself along with all the lokapalas. I will wash your feet. That tirtha is really the source of all tirthas, holy places and waters in this world. Adyaham bhagavam lakshmiya asam ekamda bhajanam. From today onwards, ekamda bhajanam adya aham lakshmiya. This is what I have to say. From today onwards, I have become an object of grace for Mahalakshmi forever. Mahalakshmi will never be separate from me at all. She will always host me. She will be with me. Because you have given me this this kind of a hit. Vasyathyurasime bhutihi bhavat padahatam saha. Because of your hit and kick, all my sins have completely been dissolved. Being free of all sins, Mahalakshmi will grace me from today onwards. This is what he said. What to say? Nothing more is required. Bhrigu was so blissful to find this kind of a response. He kicked Mahavishnu. And this is the type of response Mahavishnu gives. So he goes back and reports the incident to the Maharshis. And all of them came unanimously to the conclusion that Mahavishnu alone is the great of all the three. Why I said this? The Srivatsa is the mark made by Bhrigu on the chest of Mahavishnu. What is the message for us? The message for you, for all of us is, be like Mahavishnu. We have to be like Mahavishnu in the matter of tolerance, forbearance, fondness and affinity for people. Let anybody do any kind of a harm, but you should not have a harmful or a bitter response. Can you purify your mind? Can you raise your mind? Can you refine your mind to such a level that you will never turn harmful or sinful towards anybody in this world, come what may? Mahavishnu represents this kind of a purity that is impenetrable, impervious. My dear souls, we have got a mind. What is this mind? It is consciousness. What is this consciousness? That is the nature of the Supreme God. The entire universe is a display on consciousness. Like the dream creation, the dream world is a display of the mind on the mind surface. Our body alone is limited, but the consciousness that animates and activates the mind is so wonderful, so ineffable, that it is on it, by it, and in it, the whole universe is floating like a bubble in the sea. Our mind has got untold power. You can make your mind pure to any extent. Nobody can say, I have exhausted the whole chance for purity or orbit of purity. We can still become pure. Can you imagine Mahavishnu reacting in this manner? What about Paramashiva and what about Brahma? Now all these three are imaginations, you should understand. Here we are not casting any aspersion to Brahma. We only say that the level of purity that can be struck has not been demonstrated in the first two. It was demonstrated only in Mahavishnu. And this is described by our authors. You may doubt Vishnu, doubt Shiva and doubt Brahma. You cannot doubt the author. And the author is communicating to your minds, to your intellects. My dear human, this is the level of purity we envisage. This is the level of friendliness we want you to imbibe, display and revel in. This is what we want. So the message is very clear. Be infinitely tolerant, infinitely patient. Never say too much, I cannot bear. Never say that. Close your eyes. Sink into your own heart. And you will find an unfathomable depth and loftiness there. This is the message for every one of us. Dvapare Bhagavan Shyamaha Pitavasa Nijayuthaha Srivatsadibhirankaischa Lakshanahi Upalakshidaha. Another meaning of the word Srivatsa, it is something very interesting. It's a very special kind of mark. What is it? It is said to be a curl of hair on the chest, whirling from left to right in the Pradakshana manner. Very dark and very black. It's a whirling, this kind of something. See, on our hair at the back, in the head, there is something like that. But that cannot be so prominent. This is very prominent on the chest, in the background of the chest. And there is a central hole also. Kaustuba is the name of the jewel which Mahavishnu is wearing. That Kaustuba is very brilliant and shining. So that shining Kaustuba hanging just on the so-called Srivatsa, the Srivatsa also is glowing and glittering. Now these are the insignia given to Mahavishnu. And I told you about the legend. That legend is very, very illustrative, highly instructing us. Dvapare Bhagavan Shyamaha Pitavasa Nijayutaha Srivatsadipirankayischa Lakshanaihi Upalakshidaha. Mahavishnu is given all these insignia so that we can identify him and understand him properly. Tam tada purusham martya maharajopalakshanam yajandi vedatantrabhyam param jijnasavo nrapa. Now in Dwapara Yuga, just like they started adorning Mahavishnu in this manner, so the human drama is brought there. The human needs are brought there. The human characteristics of offense and defense, all these are brought there. At the same time, the excellence of divinity is displayed and conveyed. Tam tada purusham martya maharajopalakshanam. In Dwapara Yuga, people started decorating Mahavishnu in such a manner, maharajopalakshanam, as they will decorate a king or an emperor. So they made him a Purusha, a human, and gave him the status of a king or an emperor. And then, after making him an emperor, Maharajopalakshanam, they gave him an umbrella. They gave him the chamara. The chamara fan. It's very difficult to translate it. You know, it is the type of something like a fur or a hair of a particular animal. They are all clung together in a handle, and all around this will be flowing in this manner. You lift it, so they will flow like this, and they start turning it like this. So Chhatra and Chamara, generally these are given to kings. So they started adorning God with Chhatra and Chamara. Maharajopalakshanam yajandi veda tantrabhyam. In Treta Yuga, they only recited and chanted the Vedas, all the hymns and praises. But here, what happened? Veda tantrabhyam. Various kinds of prescriptions, gesticulations also came in there. One is mantra, another is tantra. Mantra is uttered by the tongue. Tantra is demonstrated or displayed by hands. So these tantras became an additional factor. Yajandi veda tantrabhyam param jijnasavo nrapa. While performing all these things, human beings certainly had the curiosity, the jijnasa, the quest for knowing the knowledge. So Dwapara Yuga, not thoroughly bad, but there is certainly a decline. Now, how did they praise Mahavishnu? Namaste Vasudevaya, Namas Sankarshanaya cha, Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya, Tubhyam Bhagavate Namaha. This is how they praised. Namaste Vasudevaya, Namas Sankarshanaya cha, Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya, Tubhyam Bhagavate Namaha. Mahavishnu is always considered in this manner. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. From Dwapara Yuga this started. Tubhyam Bhagavate Namaha. Now Vasudeva. What is Vasudeva? The son of Vasudeva. Sri Krishna. Why Sri Krishna was born? Have you thought about it? Very few people know about it. We are all lovers of Krishna. We adore Krishna. But we refuse to recognize the fact Krishna Janma was necessary in order to relieve the earth from the excess load caused by the wicked and the vicious people. In Mahabharata war itself, 45 lakhs of warriors were killed. And 23 times Jarasandha attacked Madura. Every time he came with 21 Akshavunis. In Mahabharata war, only 18 were there. So altogether it comes to more than 5 crores of people, they were taken away from the surface of the earth. That was the purpose for which Krishna was born. And he was helped in the process by Sankarshana, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So this hymn, it clearly portrays a totally different situation in Dwapara Yuga. It was in Dwapara Yuga end that the Mahabharata war was fought in the holy land of Bharat. What was this war for? It was a war to determine whether moral people should rule the country or immoral people should rule. And the support for Duryodhana was much more, as I always say. 11 Akshaunis he had, and Pandavas had only 7. 7. What do you mean by that? More than 1.5 times on the other side. This was the division. And because of Sri Krishna's ingenuity, excellence, special planning, insight, scheme, etc., he was able to win the objective of dharma. But for him, it would not have been done. The numerical strength of the wicked people is so much that merely by a numerical strength we cannot conquer. Only 7 Akshaunis Yudhishthira had, and on the other side, Bhishma and Drona shielded them. Is it ever possible to destroy the Duryodhana army? Only with the help of Krishna. Timely expediencies he adopted, he employed. The cause of dharma could be won. Namaste Vasudevaya, Namas Sankarshanaya ja, Pradyumnaya Aniruddhaya, Tubhyam Bhagavate Namaha, Narayanaya Rishaye, Purushaya Mahatmane, Vishveshwaraya Vishwaya, Sarvabhutatmane Namaha. See, by the time Dwapara Yuga came, people started pouring forth praises. The Veda mantras are something very different. The mantras and the suktas have to be learnt from a guru. It can only be learned by hearing. The pronunciation is very, very typical. The Udatta, Anudatta, all have to be put there. So one cannot just read it and understand it. So the pronunciation has to be learned from a teacher. Now when Dwapara Yuga came, they started praising him. This does not require such an elaborate procedure of teaching and learning. Narayanaya Rishaye, prostrations to the Rishi Narayana. Purushaya Mahatmane. Purushaya, the Supreme Spirit who lives in every body. The soul is one, the bodies alone are different. In all the bodies, the Purusha is present. Mahatmane, Mahatmane, magnificent, great soul. Vishveshwaraya Vishwaya, Vishveshwaraya, the Lord of the whole universe. Vishwaya, this is the first name in Sahasranama. Vishwam, Vishwam, Vishnur, Vashatkaro. We should understand that the whole universe is a condensed form, so to say, of God. It is a display of God Himself. It is not that the world is different from God. The world itself is God. Unless you are able to understand that the world itself is a divine expression, you lose your game. We are all products of the world. If the world is divine, we are also divine. Let us live in this world thinking that we are divine, feeling that we are divine, and spreading divinity in the process. That is the only way, the only salvation. Vishveshwaraya Vishwaya Sarva Bhutatmane Namaha. Prostrations to you, O indweller of all creatures and beings. Sarva Bhutatmane. My dear viewers, let the mind expand. You have a constricted notion about God and divinity. That is not right. It has to be replaced. Take away that constriction. He is present everywhere. He is the Atma of all the Bhutas. All the Bhutas. He is the indweller in you. Equally the indweller everywhere. He is activating the wind. He is activating the river. He is activating your heart. He is activating your lungs. Everywhere is He. Let us understand. We are surrounded by God. We are penetrated by God. We are engulfed by God. We are inlaid and outlaid by God. Narayanaya Rishaye Purushaya Mahatmane Vishveshwaraya Vishwaya Sarvabhuta Atmane Namaha Iti Dvapara Urvisha Stuvanti Jagadishwaram Nana Tantra Vidhanena Kalavapi Yathashranu. Hey Urvisha, O King, iti in this manner, Dvapare in Dvapara Yuga, Jagadishwaram Stuvanti. So they started praising Jagadishwara in this manner. Nana Tantra Vidhanena. Taking recourse to many of mantras, not merely mantras, but tantras also. Kalavapi Yathashrunu. Kalavapi Yathashrunu. Now we have come to the crux of the matter. We are living in Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, how people are worshipping, listen to that also, he says. So we are now concerned about what is happening in Kali. Why the background of Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga and Dvapara Yuga is given? To make you understand that we have a very great and glorious past. You can pin your position anywhere. Though you are born in Kali Yuga, you can imbibe the Krita Yuga culture. You can equally imbibe the Treta Yuga culture. You can equally imbibe the Dvapara Yuga culture. The options are infinite before us. Sri Rama was born in Treta Yuga. But nobody is prevented from becoming a Sri Rama even now, either in full or in part. Krishna was born in Dvapara Yuga. There is nothing that prevents you from becoming a Krishna now here. So understand that behind us is an infinitely glorious past. That also is in our genes. That also is in our inheritance. Don't say that this is Kali Yuga and everything is bad. Never say that. In Kali Yuga, there is a lot of convenience for us. That is also there. Bhagavatam makes it clear. So he says, Kalavapi Yathashrunu Iti Dvapara Urvisha Stuvanti Jagadishwaram Nana Tantra Vidhanena Kalavapi Yathashrunu Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yajnaihi Sankirtana Prayaihi Yajantihi Sumedhasaha. We are discussing the different kinds and levels of worship of the Supreme Lord. And where did we begin from? We began from Krita Yuga. And what is the present Yuga? Kali Yuga. As I told you many times earlier, twice Kali Yuga will be Dvapara Yuga. 3 times Kali Yuga will be Treta Yuga. And 4 times Kali Yuga will be Krita Yuga. All the 4 Yugas become 10 times Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, we have already passed more than 5,000 years. The total length, duration of Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. This is our time calculation. The normal calculations with whatever available resources before us upon the earth will not be sufficient for us to have a higher reckoning about time. The world has been existing for countless millennia. And in the existence of the world, so many planets emerge. They exist for a certain duration and they subside or get exploded also, disintegrate. But mind you, the universe as a whole continues to exist. So our forefathers, the great thinkers of the world, they wanted to arrive at some calculations of time which are far beyond the human years, the human decades, centuries, millennia and all that. That is how they have arrived at Kali Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Treta Yuga and Krita Yuga.